In this workshop series, we're going to talk about passwords and how to create and keep safe passwords. One of the leading ways that you can protect your information is to use and manage your passwords in a way that allows you to have a good primary defense mechanism. If you go out and you were to look at Homeland's cybersecurity infrastructure site, they tell you these are their recommendations that they recommend when coming up with a password and when you're trying to manage it. Always use multi-factor authentication when possible. I've mentioned that in several different workshop series. That means if the application that you're using has the ability to use both a password and a text mechanism, or they can use a token, or they can use an application like Google Authenticator, then always use that, because that means if someone did get a hold of your password, they still would have to have the secondary method of authentication in order to get into your account. So always use that where possible. Second thing they recommend is that you use different passwords on different systems and accounts. And I put an example here is you definitely don't want to use the same password you use to log into Facebook as you use to log into your Pinnacle banking account, right? So that way, as you saw last year, if a media site like Yahoo or Twitter or Facebook got compromised and someone got a hold of that password, they wouldn't be able to log into your online banking account. The next thing I recommend is not to use passwords that are based on personal information. For example, I put my son's here, Ethan, right? How would they know my son's name? Well, if I were not being very secure, as I said in a previous workshop series with, say, Facebook, I post lots of articles on my son, Ethan, right? So therefore, a hacker might be able to go out to my online banking and guess my password of Ethan and the current year, the year that Ethan was born, which they could also get from my Facebook account, right? And a lot of people will say, well, it's got an uppercase, it's got a number, it's got an exclamation, and that seems like that's a pretty complex password. Well, in and of itself, yes, as long as my son isn't named Ethan, then that's a fairly decent password. The next thing they recommend is not to use short passwords, so try to use the longest password you can possible. If it says it's got 8 characters, try to use an 8 character. Try to not just get a 4-character password. The reason for this is that these attackers use programs called brute force attacks, where it literally uses the dictionary, and they use a processor that can run through they can guess a password using every word in the dictionary in minutes, in the entire English language in minutes. So don't use that. Don't use, as you see the next point, don't use words that are typically found inside the dictionary. Try to make up words, or try to use, as we'll see on the next screen, try to insert characters for letters. Here's some techniques that you might consider. So for example, we talk about don't use words that you find, or don't use passwords that you find that are in the dictionary. And the first one is an example of consider something that's easy to remember, such as a favorite Bible verse, or you could include, say, your favorite sports team, but add things around it, such as I'm combining here a favorite Bible verse with a hashtag and then 2019. Or you could, maybe the second part is a year that's special to you, like the year you got married or something of that nature, but it's combined with some other fact that makes it, 2 pieces of facts that are easy to remember, but you've joined them together. You might use the first characters from a poem or a favorite song or a phrase or sentence. An example here is Jack and Diane are soulmates, 2019, and you just use the first letters as you're typing it, and you substitute the @ sign for the A's, and you substitute the $ for the S, for example. All right, here's some examples of variants of that, right? And that makes for a very good complex password that's easy to remember, where you're just typing the first letter of the sentence. Keeping your passwords safe, I've talked about using different passwords. The next thing that people tell me is, well, I've got 8 different passwords and I always forget them, or I write them down, and that seems like it's less secure. So there's lots of applications out there that are good. I put one here, the one at the very bottom of the screen, 1Password, is one that I use. It's a very good secure encrypted platform, and I use it on my computer. I use it on my iPhone. And what's good about these kinds of applications is not only do they store them for you, but they go on to plug into your browser, so that when I go to purchase something online, it will say, do you want me to use your password for this particular site? So I can have a password for every website and it keeps it inside password. They even generate passwords for you. So there's lots of benefit to using these types of these types of applications, because they can literally generate one-time passwords for you for the site. Another thing that we tell you is that to be careful when you're using Wi-Fi, when you serve. People believe that, you know, they give you a free Wi-Fi, or they give you the password for the Wi-Fi. You've got to be very, very careful. A funny fact that I found out there, you might think that this is an unknown problem, but 60% of the consumers believe that using public Wi-Fi is riskier than using a public restroom. And that is an actual true fact, that it is very risky to use public Wi-Fi, just because you walk in. And unfortunately, we've got a culture where our teens I have to stop my children every time we walk in somewhere. There's a sign that says free Wi-Fi. They start joining it right away, and it's just a culture item where they believe, hey, I want to save my minutes here, and I want to jump on free Wi-Fi. But as I've mentioned in previous workshop series, my grandfather told me that nothing is really free. Everything comes at a cost. So make sure that you do that. I'll tell you that if you use programs such as this internet security software, such as Trend Internet Security or Norton's, which is Symantec Internet Security, if you use that, they also protect your Wi-Fi connection. So again, it's, you know, I've had people argue with me over these type of things. You know, they say, well, do you understand that those are like $30 a year? And it seems a bit strange to me that people are not willing to invest $30 a year to buy an application for their smartphone, or a phone that probably cost them $1,000 just for the smartphone alone, right? So you want to do an investment. We get insurance for our vehicles. We don't think twice, right? You want to do things like have this internet security software, or invest into an identity protection service. These are things to manage, or these password protection programs. These are assets and things that you want to invest into to try to protect your data. Safeguarding sensitive data. I put this in here because sometimes I've actually had people throw away the sheets of paper where they wrote their passwords, right? Or throw away a statement from their Raymond James account, or throw away their advisor statement, or throw away their bank account statement, or throw away something that their tax, you know, information. They just throw it in the trash, right? If you go out and Google dumpster diving, you'll find that there are people who get tons and tons of information by just going into business trash, going into personal trash, and they look in there and they get tons of information that is legitimate off of your thrown away mail, right? And this is how they get information. That, for example, some people say, well, how do they even know I use Verizon, right? Well, they got the Verizon statement out of your trash. Or how did they know that I even used Blue Cross Blue Shield for my insurance carrier? You know, why didn't they try to say they were with Aetna? Well, because they already have a little bit of information that they got strictly from you. So I do things like at my home, we've got a drawer in one of our cabinets that is the shred drawer, right? And my kids love to do it. It's actually a reward for them. They get to run the shredder and put the documents in the shredder with me and help us destroy it. But you know, we have normal trash, and then we have a bin where we just put shreds. So make sure you do that. Make sure that you stay away from signing up for things that are out there, free raffles, right? All you got to do is just put your name and address, right, to win this item as you walk into the mall. Well, you're taking a chance to win something for free, but you're actually giving them something. You're giving them your identity, right? And then finally, just store the information. You know, safeguard your sensitive information. I can't tell you the number of times that information was taken from a house cleaner, right? Somebody came in and cleaned your house and picked up a little piece of information you left out. Same with a babysitter. So, you know, a transient type of babysitter. You got them for one night, and they happen to rifle through all your drawers and take some of this information. So just be careful. These are obviously things that are not common, but they can happen. And so knowing is half the battle. Thank you for joining this workshop series. Please look at our website to find other resources and other series on cybersecurity.